That's sorted. So if anybody joins, they'll be able to join there. Right. I'll pop it and see if it interferes. If it interferes, it's going to get switched off. And if anybody doesn't like me, just say, and I just won't add it into the practice. It's fine. So, welcome. I've still got sand on my mat. Right. We're going to start in seated. So sometimes I do a lot of planning for classes, and sometimes I just see where we go. And I think it's going to be one of those where we go weeks. I'd like to do some, we've got the International Yoga Day today, which is a very special day. It's always celebrated around the summer solstice. So I've got to put some sun salutations into today's practice, and then we'll see where we go from there. So enjoy. We're going to just start and just check in with our practice today. So coming into a comfy seat. And I was going to say, yes, if you're not comfy with your legs crossed, then just come onto your knees or bring your legs out in front of you. So it's wherever you're comfy. And take a moment just to find some length in the spine. So just draw up some energy through the spine and allow yourself to draw gently backwards, not too far back, so you just feel like you're toppling, but just enough to feel a little bit of engagement in the inner thighs, stacking the spine, relaxing the shoulders. Then depending on how you're feeling, hands can be grounding, so they can be on your knees, or they can be receiving. So either way, whatever you feel. So if you had a busy day, sometimes we end up with our hands down. You might want to take a mudra, which is just a point of concentration, and you can feel whatever fingers together feel comfy for you. And then once you've just reached that place where you feel you're starting to ground a little, starting to leave the day behind and come into this moment, start to connect with your breath. Just becoming aware of the inhale and the exhale. And then start to lengthen the breath slightly so that the inhale and the exhale begin to match in length. You might even pause gently at the top of the breath. So when you inhale, just taking a moment, and then exhaling equally. And then we're just going to start to bring some movement into the spine. So start to bring your awareness to movement, and it just gently rounding the spine, taking the chin to the chest. Just allowing yourself to draw the core in. Keeping the hands on the knees, maybe pushing the hands into the knees. We're going to draw ourselves upwards, opening the chest. So just a little pushing into the knees, opening the chest. Exhaling, rounding the spine, really tucking the chin into the chest, drawing the belly in. Inhaling, opening. Just opening chest, the collarbones, looking forwards, and rounding again gently. all the way back up to center. And we're going to take our kind of neck for a wee walk. So we're just going to drop and then allow ourselves to draw a U shape with our nose. So when you come towards the center, the chin starts to tuck. And you can do this really slowly. Don't make yourself too dizzy. Just gently. Might be that you pause just gently at the top. Breathing wherever's comfy. And then we're going to drop the left hand to the mat and just inhale the right hand all the way up to the ceiling. Spread the fingers, give a stretch all the way through the side body. And then either come across or forwards, depending on how you feel. So sometimes you can bring the hand slightly out and then a hand across. So just explore that stretch, that movement. Don't overstretch. All the way back to center, coming to the other side. So just bringing that movement across the other side. It may be that you have movement in this pose, so do what feels okay for you. So it might be that you're taking a little movement or you're just flowing back and forwards because that feels good. And that's starting to bring a little bit of movement into the body. And that might come all the way forwards. It might be that the elbow comes all the way back. So any movement. This is just where you can just ease any tension in the body just to start. And it also helps us start to warm up and flex the spine. Coming forwards is a good one. So all the way forward, stretching through the side body. Breathing as you go into these kind of stretches. Walking the hands all the way. And we're going to just stretch the legs out as well. So give the legs a big stretch across the yoga mat. And maybe draw the toes towards you, point the toes away from you. So just bring some movement now into the feet and the ankles. Maybe then bringing one foot into kind of, so the sole of the foot's just into the leg and turning a little so you're facing that leg and then lifting gently up. And you have to kind of move around the mat a bit. Bend the knee if you need to, and then fold gently. So it's wherever the hands come to. It may be that you have a stretch around the foot. Maybe the hands are coming to the leg. It doesn't matter. Walk the hands all the way back. And as we inhale and lift and lengthen all the way up again, take another forward fold across towards that side again. So say, go easy on yourself at the beginning of practice. Walk the hands all the way back and foot comes in. Now we're on the opposite side. So just stretching out. And then turn your body. So it's just slightly turned towards that leg. You can gently push the back of the leg into the mat if you want to. Inhaling, lifting, bend the knee if you want a little bit of kind of movement here as well. And it's your hamstrings are feeling tight or something's feeling tight. And then you can come forwards and just take a moment here. Lifting and lengthening will allow you just into that stretch a little bit more as we breathe, we inhale. And we exhale, fold across to the other side. Come all the way back up. We're going to bring our feet so they're behind us, coming onto our knees. If you've got a blanket, just pop it to one side or under the knees, whatever suits you. And we're going to take a moment in Balasana, actually. So we're going to come down to child's pose. Now, you might find it comfier for you if your knees are apart, toes are together in an extended child's pose. Sometimes it gives you more space. If you've got a blanket, you can actually put it behind the heels as well, which gives you a little bit more space on the hips too. So wherever's comfy, and then you bring the body forwards and the forehead. If you've got height and you've got something on your heels, you might have your head a little higher, maybe on a block. So Sheena, you've got a block there, and that will give you a little bit of height. And we're going to breathe into the back here. And with this child's pose, we can move this too. We can move our hands to the edge of the mat and just allow a stretch through the side body. Breathing back and forwards. You can take it to the other side when you're ready. So do this in your own time. All the way back, and bring the hands all the way back up to you. And we're going to come forwards into this cat-cow pose. So let's think about stacking the wrists underneath the shoulders. So Rachel may be taking those hands just slightly wider. So give yourself a bit of space. That's it, brilliant, okay. And then dropping the belly, looking forwards. You can tuck the toes if you want here. Tucking the toes in cow just protects the lower back very, very slightly. We don't go as deep into it, different stretch. And then come all the way, untucking the toes into cat. And take some time here, inhaling. As we inhale, we look forward. You might want to tuck the toes to give the feet a little bit of love there. And then exhaling as we round the spine, tuck the chin, engage the core, really draw the core in. Let's fire up that core. Inhaling as we look forward. And exhaling as we round that spine. Really draw that core, that belly to spine. And then come all the way to neutral position here. We're going to tuck the toes and come to hovering cat. So we just push and claw through the fingers and then lift the knees very, very slightly off the mat, keeping the gaze down in between the thumbs. And then draw the core in, really work the core. Let's just bring some fire right at the beginning. You'll love me for it. Inhaling and exhaling. Come down if you need to at any point. And then kind of bring those knees down. Extend the right leg as long as the yoga mat. Really tuck the toes, and we can just take a moment here, back and forwards on the ankle. And then as we do, lift that right foot up and maybe take the gaze up slightly. Again, keep yourself facing forwards, even in the hands. And then nose to knee, draw all the way in, and the heel comes up towards the glutes as well. Extend that right leg all the way back out, maybe looking long. Again, if it pinches on the back, you can keep the foot down. So, and then bring the knee down, stretch on the other side. Just take a moment here with the ankle back and forwards. And then you can allow that leg to just gently lift up into a little stretch. That's it. Soften the elbows if you want to take a little bit of pressure out the arms. Draw the knee into the nose. Feel that core engage again. And then draw the leg long. Bring the knee all the way down. Just take a moment stretch in child's pose through the body, through the front body. And then placing the hands for downward facing dog. We're just going to really push into the fingers, tuck the toes and lift the hips, and take your dog for just a little walk.
My little dog today disgraced herself, totally enrolled in fox poo. So while I'm here, I'm thinking, And just lifting the heels. Really claw the mat, pushing into the fingers and the knuckles. And then we're going to lift up onto our tiptoes as if we're coming up and over, and then we're going to come into a little high plank here. So we then push through the heels and we come to a high plank. Knees come down if you need to at all. Back up and over and come to downward facing dog. Pushing the forearms together, really give yourself secure shoulders to allow the neck to be long. Bend the knees to allow the kind of hips to rise slightly, the sit bones, and allow weight into the feet as well. Then we're going to look forwards, and we're either going to step or hop to Uttanasana to fold at the front of the mat. So bringing yourself to a forward fold. And sometimes it's quite nice to just take the hands to the elbows and just allow, you can soften the knees if you want, and allow just the head to just hang. Taking a breath as you go. And then we're going to inhale to flat back. So hands above or below the shins or fingertips on the mat to straighten through. We'll roll back down to the forward fold and sweep the arms either forwards or all the way up to upward salute. Maybe the hands come together, maybe they don't. That's absolutely fine if they don't. Gaze might be coming to the thumbs, and then bring the hands to the heart. And just take a moment in mountain. Now we've arrived. And I will just take you through some variations of some sun salutations because they're just a lovely routine. They get the body warmed up, and you can mix and match. There's sun salutation A, B, C. I'll do a bit of a mix of all of them. So we'll just see where we go. So we're going to come to mountain, to Tadasana. So come so you've got enough room to step back on your mat. Allow the shoulders just to gently open, the hands to come together, and just look at the feet and allow them to really connect with the yoga mat. We're going to work with the breath as well. So we're going to sweep, inhale, lift. Your choice if hands come together or not. If that's comfy on the shoulders, they can touch. And you can also draw them up and back very slightly. So I'll give you options here. You can fold all the way through the midline, but hinge at the hips. So bend the knees and allow yourself to come into Uttanasana. Inhale out of Uttanasana, halfway lift. Exhale, and we'll leave the right foot at the front of the mat and step into a low lunge, Anjaneyasana, and then sweep the hands, crescent moon. Brilliant. We're going to just step the hands forwards for step to plank. So lift the knee up at the back, come all the way into plank. Push the heels, keep the hips in line with the body, and draw the belly in as hard as you can into the body. Knees down if you want to. Push all the way, bending the knees into downward facing dog. Opposite foot now is going to come to the top of the mat. So you can literally anchor your foot and bring your left foot forwards into that low lunge, stepping forwards into runner's lunge. That allows the back knee to come down. Sweep the hands all the way, lifting up out the body. They can touch if you want. And then all the way back to plank. Step into plank. And then all the way to downward facing dog. Traveling to the front of the mat is optional. You can step all the way down the midline, or you can bend your knees, look forwards, take a hop if you want to. So you can really bring some heat into these sun salutations. Uttanasana, forward fold. And then we're going to sweep all the way back up. And back to mountain. So you can keep these quite quick and they'll create lots of heat. If you need to put your knees down, you can do. We'll go through that again, and then we're going to add Sun Salutation B, Surya Namaskar B. So equally, if you want to, and you want to add more challenge into this, remember, if you step back on your tightrope, your balance in low lunge is going to be a little bit more challenging, but it's good fun. So challenge by choice. Sweep, inhale, lift. Hands come together, touch if you wish. Gaze can come high or through, depending. Forward fold, bend at the knees, engage the core, and that allows you to hinge at the hips. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, back to that forward fold. Step back. So leave your right foot and step back to that low lunge. Dropping the back knee, untucking the foot, sweeping the hands if you wish. Hands come to touch at the front. Step into plank. Make sure the hands are just underneath the shoulders. Again, pushing those triceps towards each other will give you that extra kind of shoulder support. Draw that belly in as much as you can, pushing into the heels. Bend the knees into downward facing dog. Excellent. Remember to push the arms together. You'll feel the shoulders engage, protecting the shoulders and the neck, and allow the neck to relax. Opposite foot comes forwards to low lunge. Dropping that back knee, untucking the toes, sweep all the way up. Hands come forwards, step to plank. And then come all the way into downward facing dog. We're coming towards the top of the mat, so you can step, you can hop, you can float. Sweep all the way up, upward salute. And hands to the heart. Really simple progression. You're probably all feeling quite warm. If you need me to open the door, I can do. Right, I'll go through that again. So a lot of you will already have this as a practice, but we'll go through it again and then we'll add on to it. So into mountain. And we're not going to do 108 of these, but that is what you would normally do for the solstice. It's very traditional. 108 is the number of, I guess, mala beads. It's a significant number in yoga. Anybody else know any facts about 108? I think that's Penny. Have you got any? No. It's the I can't remember off the top of my head. I'll find out for you, but it's definitely a significant number in yoga, and now I can't remember why. But anyway, not 108 tonight. We'll do a few though. So sweep all the way up, inhale, lift. Brilliant for the morning to wake up. Hands might come together. Exhale, fold. So engage that core to come into that forward fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands can come down. So leave right foot, step into low lunge. Knee comes down, sweep all the way up. Frame the foot, step into plank. Really draw that core up and in. Bend the knees to soften to downward facing dog. Opposite foot steps forwards to low lunge. Drop the knee, sweep the hands. Hands frame at the front of the mat, step to plank. Push into downward facing dog. Remember to keep the arms together to allow the head to relax. Soften the knees to lift the hips if you need. Bend the knees, come to tiptoes if you want to. Look forwards, you can either step or you can hop to the top of the mat into Uttanasana. Now we're going to go from forward fold to Utkatasana, to chair pose. So as we bring the hands forwards, we sink the hips back. Excellent. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana.
Exhale, we're going to leave the right foot at the front. We're going to step to Virabhadrasana, one warrior, one. So footsteps at the back, sweep the hands all the way up. Really push into the heels towards each other and you'll feel the inner thighs engage. Frame your kind of foot at the front again, step to plank. This time, take a vinyasa of your choice. So the sequence of movements, I'm going to bring my knees down. I'm going to keep the elbows tucked, chin tucked into Bhujangasana, into Cobra. Or take a child's pose and have a break. All the way down. We tuck the toes, lift all the way back up into downward facing dog. Now, options, bringing that opposite foot forward, so it's going to be your left foot now forwards. You can actually anchor your right foot, lift up into tripod. As you come up onto your tiptoes to bring that left knee in, you step that left foot forwards, drop the back foot, that brings you into that warrior stance, and that will bring you into, brilliant, it's a different transition. Frame the foot, step to plank. Either come to a child's pose or again a vinyasa. So it might be that you come to knees and cobra, or you might bring the chest down and then flick the toes over, bringing the thighs up off the mat, which is up dog. Rolling over the toes, I could never do it at the same time. Draw the knees and bring yourself to downward facing dog again. Then bring yourself all the way down to your knees, sweep the hands behind you and come back to child's pose, to Balasana. And take a moment here just with the breath. Notice how you feel. Notice how the breath feels. Push all the way back up again. Bring the hands just in front of you, and we're going to lift the hips at the back of the mat into forward fold. Slightly different view of the mat. And then a different transition, we're going to walk the hands forwards into plank. Coming into plank. Now, you can bring your knees down for this if you wish. And if not, I'm going to take my forearms into the equation and I'm going to bring my hands gently together and I'm going to come to a little forearm plank. So I'm still pushing through my heels. Knees might just be softening this. Wherever you are, draw that core in and up into the body. So the front body into the back body. Push into those arms. If you're shaking, it's absolutely fine. If it's too much, just it's sometimes the day or, and then just bring these down. And then all of it are just going to just bring the whole body all the way down to the mat. Allow yourself to come into Egyptian lion pose by bringing the hands forwards, just in line with each other. Now, if that's pinching the back, take those shoulders out to the side. So it just eases off the back. And what I want you to do is really think about activating this pose. So push as if you're pushing the mat away from you. Push into the forearms. That should lift the chest very slightly. Chin can come down if you wish. Push the pelvis into the mat. Take a moment here so you can really feel this pose working. Or rather, you activating the muscles within the asana. And then take the hands just gently to the side of the body. Tuck the elbows so they're facing towards the back of the mat, but don't take them right in to the body. Just give a little bit of space. Tuck the chin. We're going to inhale Bhujangasana into Cobra. So pushing the mat away. You might be different heights. It doesn't matter.
All the way back down. Take the hands just out to the side onto the fingertips, so slightly wider. Keep the elbows pointing up, tuck the chin, and come back into Bhujangasana. Different variation. Exhale all the way down. We're going to push all the way up to plank. Come into downward facing dog. And then step to the front of the mat. Into Uttanasana. From Uttanasana, sweep forwards to Utkatasana, chair. Inhale, lift. Bring hands to the heart. Well done. If you've got water, and I've forgotten to bring some tonight, but if you have water, do just grab it, and if you need it as you go. Because you can get quite warm with yoga, and today it's a little bit like hot yoga. So it's nice. It's a change, isn't it? A bit of a change from feeling cold. Well, I feel the cold all the time. So brilliant. While we're here, any questions? Are you all okay with everything so far? No one's got wrists that are hurting. You okay? You have, Penny? No. Okay. Yes. 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 It's absolutely fine. So you'll watch. So, and this is the question I absolutely love because it brings something to your practice. Thank you, Penny. So you'll notice, kind of go this way. I think you can all see when I'm in flat back position to actually come to downward facing dog. For me, I move my hands forwards and that gives me length. Otherwise, my downward facing dog is I'm too short on my upper body. Got nice, I guess, we're all different proportions, aren't we? So, so I move it there. So when I'm in downward facing dog and I have to come to plank, I lift up, I'm up and over. I normally do adjust, I managed it there, but I normally do adjust my hands slightly, Penny. I think we do it naturally because so we find our downward facing dog. So hands engaging on the mat, arms drawing together. That allows this neck to relax, lifting the sit bones and allowing then weight. And then when we come to plank, up and over, I actually probably step my feet back. Actually, rather than my hands, but we all find our own way. Yes. Yes. So you're moving your hands rather than your feet? Yeah. That's okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, but I'm probably a slightly different proportion and I know quite a long body. So you do whatever suits you. And if you don't, you end up with alignment out of place. So it's better to move it. We'll do it again and then you can think about it. But it's no issue to move at all. And that's the same with any yoga movement or sequence of movements. So it's absolutely fine as long as you feel that, and you look like you're in alignment. So as long as you feel that you're okay and you've not got something tweaking or pressures or then that's okay. We'll come to the top of the mat. Sweep, inhale, lift. We'll come up all the way. Exhale. We could do sun salutation all the way through class. No, I won't do that. Don't worry. Into Uttanasana. So as we go through the sequence, just think about where you're placing your hands and your feet. Inhale, lift. So when I say place the hands on the mat or below or above the shin, what we're trying to do is just create length. I find that if I have my fingertips on the mat, I can stretch the back of my legs out and my hamstrings get a stretch in this flat back. But for some, that's not comfy. And I'm looking just gently forwards. It's a slightly different flat back. For me, that's what I like. So we can play with that into Uttanasana.
We're going to sweep all the way to Utkatasana, to chair. So we'll come forwards. Throw that one in just a moment. Place the hands, step back to plank. And make sure that front body's into the back body. So I'm seeing some really nice shapes, Penny. And then we'll go from downward facing dog from here. So we'll bend the knees, we'll lift the hips. And adjust as you see fit. Bend the knees, look forwards, come to the top of the mat. Into Uttanasana, push into the heels, sweep all the way up. Hands to the heart. I saw some really lovely alignment going on all the way through that. So whatever you're doing to adjust, pardon? You were thinking about it more. So whatever you're doing is absolutely fine. We're going to come to the top of the mat. We're going to play with some balance. And again, maybe just think about your alignment, where you're placing hands and how you're feeling. So we're going to come to one-legged mountain. So lift all the way up. As we do, bring whatever leg you like. I'm going to bring my right leg up into a one-legged mountain. Really use your core to support these balances. You're not drawing it right in, but it's just there to anticipate movement. Push the foot forwards and the hands forwards. Your foot will be in a very different place, depending. We're going to bring the hands into airplane. We're going to bring the foot back into Virabhadrasana 3. Again, that foot can hover at the back. Doesn't need to be up high. The toes can point up if you wish, and you can locus the body so you've got like front and back body coming up a little. Bring that back foot. We're going to come to high lunge, working on a tightrope if you had your feet together. Inhale, lift. Soften shoulders. Frame the foot. So now we're in this runner's lunge. Drop the back knee, and we're going to turn towards the knee. So we're going to just lift and turn towards the knee. So Sheena, you're going to open your left. That's it. Towards the knee, Rachel, that's it. I've just confused you. And then you're going to frame your foot at the front. And what we're going to do, we're going to tuck that back at the front. We're going to come to a one-legged little plank, okay? So I'll show you, we lift the knee, sweep that foot at the front all the way to the back. So you're just balanced. There we are, Zoe, challenge. Now you can bring it down as normal. We're kind of in a plank. So we're not so high, Penny. We're in actually a little plank here. So it's not like a tripod. It's okay. I've just thrown it at you. And then we're going to either, if you want to, come all the way down to the mat or bring that foot down to help you. So it's a one-legged little vinyasa. Okay, just throwing a wee challenge. It's always good to mix things up a bit. Tuck the toes, lift all the way up into downward facing dog. Bend the knees and hop or step to the front of the mat. Inhale, lift, sweep the hands all the way up. Hands to the heart. Opposite foot now is going to come. So we're going to one-legged mountain. So can't remember which side. Yes, opposite. No, I'm doing the opposite of Zan to you now. I should have said. Yeah, it's that way, I think. Whatever one you haven't done. Was it the other one? Oh, yes, yeah, I went on my good ankle first. Oh, dear. And then push forwards. Push through the heels, and pull the toes towards you. I know, it's a really tricky one. If you keep practicing it, your foot gets higher. It does, promise.
And then into a warrior 3 balance. Just a wee variation here. Again, look, that toe can touch the back. You use that core gently to support you. Back foot comes gently down towards the mat as we transition into a high lunge. I'd say gracefully, but I nearly fell as well, Rachel. And then we're going to frame the hands at the front and push into that back heel. This foot at the front is going to come all the way up. So you come into this like hovering plank. Now you can just then put it down and come all the way down into your vinyasa. Or you can vinyasa down into Bhujangasana with it. It's a little tricky one. I know, you get it. I've just thrown it in. So all the way back down. Push all the way up into downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward. We're going to step to the top of the mat. Sweep all the way up. And then hands to the heart. Okay. Take a moment here. If you've got water, keep sipping it. If you're fine, that's absolutely fine. We're going to just keep working through. Sweep the hands maybe out to the side, sunburst. Exhale, fold. We're going to leave the right foot at the front of the mat and step to a runner's lunge. Taking a moment here, we're going to bring the hand inside and step that right foot across. That's it, so we're in this lizard. Lots of lizard variations here. You can bring that knee down and that just softens, or you can keep that knee up. So you can open and bring the hand gently to the knee. And that opens the hip very slightly, okay? So there's lots of different stages. If you're wanting to go deep into the hip, you can bring the hands to the mat and roll onto the edge or to the blocks. You can bring blocks into this, you know, you've got some lovely, I love pink blocks. They match the mat. So always one for pink. So you can bring those to the hands, you see. So that gives you a bit of height. So both blocks underneath each hand. I should have brought my blocks tonight to show you. That's it. And that gives you a little bit of height in the pose. And the back leg, just have a look at your back leg. Is it in line with the edge of the mat? Or has it gone out to the side? See if you can keep it in line with you at the back. And then wherever you are, just gently, we're going to actually push the hands towards you. Roll back so we come and sit on the heel. And just allow a stretch all the way through. So sitting, literally, allow a stretch all the way through in the back of the leg. Hands can come here. It's just a slightly different variation on a monkey split. And that walks the hands all the way forwards. Open, step to plank. And then step the opposite foot forwards into lizard on the other side. Again, playing with the blocks, you just literally move the blocks. That's it. And there's always a bit of shuffling in yoga poses. So you can choose. It might just be gentle. You put the back knee down and you're here just rolling very gently onto the edge of that foot. And that's enough for you. Hand might come to the knee. So you turn the body towards the knee very slightly. You can extend the pose if you wish by taking the hand backwards. And it might be that you catch the foot. There's so many lovely variations in lizard. And it depends on how you feel for the day, because sometimes it's coming down to the mat and just allowing a little stretch. And you can use your forearms and blocks as well. So wherever you are, you need to breathe. And if you stop and you start to hold your breath, it means you need to ease out of the pose. And it means that your body's just at a point where it's going, I don't like it. So you hold your breath. So, and then wander that foot back and bring the knees together gently and then sink the hips back. So we're just in an active child's pose stretch here.
And then as we do, we're going to rise up all the way back to downward facing dog. So we're going to lift ourselves to downward facing dog. Now, I hope I won't confuse you. We're going to anchor the left foot. So I'm actually going to use my left foot. So I'm going to be opposite to you, Lizanne, and facing you, okay? Otherwise, I'll get you in a terrible muddle. I'm going to lift my right foot up into tripod. So I'm lifting through. And then we're going to come to something called falling triangle. So I'm going to bring that right knee bent into the center of the mat. And I'm going to skirt that right edge of my right foot underneath my left arm, coming out to the side, and then come into a fallen star. You can do it just with the knee at the back as well if you want to. You can try it. It's actually, that's it. So come into downward facing dog, into tripod, knee comes into the middle, and then under the left. Wonderful. Side plank variation of sorts. All the way back into downward facing dog. Now this next pose I'm going to throw. It's not for the faint-hearted, so you haven't done it before, then just maybe take a moment on the knees and take a stretch and have a wee watch. I'm going to come into wild thing. So from downward facing dog, I'm going to anchor that left foot. I'm going to lift my right into tripod, and then I'm going to open the right hip, allow myself to step off the mat, open that right hip, and come into a variation of wild thing. Now, only if you fancy, okay? Don't have to, but it's there as an option. Your other option is to come into tripod and just open the hip. You don't have to step off the mat. So a little hip opener here. Just throwing a bit of fun and exploration, but please don't hurt yourself. So you're opening the hips to the sky. So don't slip or back into downward facing dog. Come down to the knees. Allow yourself to sink the hips and give yourself just a wee shake of the wrists. You don't have to do any of this. I'm just giving you, it's quite a hot practice tonight, sorry. I'm like, so go drink loads of water after this. It's just giving you options. So you know it's there. If it's too much for you, you take an alternative, and some days are different to the others. So back into downward facing dog. Please, this is why I want you to press into the knuckles, press into the fingertips, claw the mat, and then lift up the hips. Opposite side now. So my right foot now is going to go and engage with the mat. The left foot's going to lift into tripod. The left foot's now going to come to fallen triangle by drawing the left knee in, and the left foot goes out to the right-hand side as I open up the arm. Do you want me to go this way so you can see it, girls? I'll go this way. Okay, so left foot through. Okay. Now we come back to that downward facing dog. I'm going to tie you in knots now. Lizanne's going to go and right and left. She won't know which one's which, because I've just lost the plot as well. So coming into wild thing, we come up into tripod. You could just stack your hips if you want. And that's when I step. And it just takes a little bit of, okay, I'm going to step backwards and I'm going to open my hips. Arm can just come to the sky. Watch your wrist. That's it, Heather. Claw the mat, come all the way back to downward facing dog. And then come down to the knees and take a moment. And starburst the hands. Give the wrists a wee bit of a shake. Take a moment, and well done for just sticking with it and having a go. So let's go to our backs. So let's just come to our backs here. And there's always an opportunity to engage and support the core. So you can just roll down.
See, on a count of maybe 10, no, 5. No, well, you're allowed to, you've been poorly, Sheena, so you can just lay down. You're fine. And then allow yourself to come all the way down. And just take a moment. So bring the feet out to the side of the mat, knees in. Just allow the spine just to relax a little. You might even want to take a moment here, just bringing the knees back and forward. So just rolling the spine. And then bring the feet in line with the body. And we're going to take our right leg and we're going to cross at our right ankle so that it comes across the left thigh, just below the knee. Now this is perfectly acceptable to stay here. If this is really nice, your back is engaged with the mat and your hips very gently opening and you're like, I like it here, stay here. And sometimes we take a bind with this, but I'm going to get you to just lift the knee up towards you. So you're now feeling a little bit more. Now you can extend the leg to the sky, so pushing through the heel. If that's too much and you need support, bring the hand behind the thigh, interlacing the fingers. And you can still keep that knee bent as well if you want to, so the foot doesn't have to come high. Now, one of my previous yogis in another class called this dead pigeon. I call it reverse pigeon. But it's a similar pose to when we go on our front and we go into pigeon pose, which is a hip opener. But what this does, it protects your spine. And then gently, wherever you are, bring that leg down, release the leg if you're supporting it, bring the foot to the mat and just take a moment, feeling that grounding through the sole of the foot. Unravel, so we're going to go to the other side now. So ankle comes across. You can stay here. You can even put a block under your foot here. And what that does, it lifts it up and it's such a lovely yin pose. Or you can draw the knee towards you. You can stretch the leg. You can support the pose by bringing the hand behind if you want to. Remember to breathe. And then just allow the leg just to come all the way down, unravel. Feet come in line with the hip points and just walk the heels very slightly towards you. Now, don't pull them too tight towards you, but sometimes you can just about get your fingers to the heels, but it depends again on your body shape and length of legs and arms and all sorts. So push into the forearms, so the palms are facing down. We're going to lift into bridge. So lift the hips up high and really push through the hips. Keep the knees in line. If you want to add some work into this, put a block between the knees and push the block between the knees, and you will really feel lots of engagement and muscles working. Make sure you've got lots of space between the chin and the chest. You can dance in bridge, literally. You can push the right foot to the sky. You can come up onto the tiptoes. You can play in bridge. It's actually quite a nice pose. You can bend the knee, bring it towards you while being on tiptoes on the other side. So I call it dancing bridge. If it's all too much, you can just bring the back down and do exactly the same with the legs. So you can just draw the knee in, pushing up to the sky. So there's lots and lots of alternatives here. If working kind of slightly asymmetrical sets anything off in your back, some people do suffer from a bit of SI kind of joint issue. You can just work symmetrically with the legs. Obviously, you're not going to fling the legs up into the sky and bridge, but you can bring them into the knees into the body. So wherever you are, wherever you have finished playing a wee bit, you can just come into that knees to chest pose very gently. Just rolling gently on the spine. And it may be that you drop the knees very carefully across to one side and come into a spine twist. So stacking the knees and stacking the heels and the sides of the feet together. Just allowing just a gentle twist here. Looking in the opposite direction of the knees will increase that. And then maybe coming across to the other side. And then we've done a fair amount with the hips. So if it's comfy and you want to, you can come to Supta Baddha Konasana. So reclined butterfly or cobbler's pose. Soles of the feet come together and you let the kind of knees go wide. Really feel the soles of the feet and then feel that engagement through the core, the hips. Just allowing the tailbone to lengthen. And then relax. And we're working towards relaxation. So you can stay here or you can bring the knees together and knees bend. Or if you've got a blanket, socks, just bring yourself up and come into a place where you're just getting ready to come down to Shavasana. So it's wherever is comfy for you. And it might be that you're just going to stay on the mat because you're comfy and it's quite warm, or it might be quite nice. And if Shavasana is not a pose for you, you can always come to seated pose. I really like being in a seated pose. So and sometimes when we've done quite a bit of work, your back says, no, don't like that. So you can bend your knees in Shavasana and that takes any pressure off your back. And if you've got any tension whatsoever, shuffling the shoulder blades, rolling the head side to side, maybe taking a gentle twist if you're in seated. And then coming to a place of stillness. So coming to a place where you can just take a moment observing how the body feels. You may feel quite a lot of energy in the body from the practice. So start to allow the body to relax wherever you are, allowing that connection. So wherever you are, connecting with the mat, allow the limbs to feel heavy. And consciously take a breath. Allow the body on the exhale to relax even further.
And then just let the breath rise and fall. Let the breath just work naturally. I like to notice the breath. So it's a really good thing to be aware of what the breath is doing, where it's starting. And then just become aware of the sounds beyond your yoga mat. So just on cue, the room starts creaking. Bringing that awareness all the way back to the breath. And then gently bring that awareness to the fingertips, maybe gently moving the fingers. And gently to the toes. And then if you're in Shavasana, just in your own time, taking a moment when you're ready just to roll onto your right hand side. Just allowing yourself time to get there. And then when you're there, start to move very gently. When you're ready, back up to seated. Back to Sukhasana. Sukha is the Sanskrit for ease. So we come to easy pose. Sukhasana. And then gently maybe bring the hands together. Start to bring the focus back to the room. Taking an inhale. And taking an exhale. Take a deeper inhale. A deeper exhale. And thank you very much for joining class tonight. It's lovely to see everybody. I have to switch the recording off, and then you can just take your time. I'm just going to switch this off.